For this week's special, we read No Way Out by Santana Knox. There's no way out of the maze. There's no way out of the maze. There's no way out of the maze. No way out. None. A teacher, a student, a scarecrow. One dangerously lusty Halloween night in a small Ohio town that will never be forgotten. No Way Out is a horrific romance that is not suitable for readers under 18. No Way Out comes with a content warning. Ohio, just Ohio. Gruesome murders, strangling, disembowelment, blood play, dubcon, non-con, unprotected sex, masked sexual encounters, hay, coercion, blackmail, lukewarm necrophilia, stabbing, sexual assault, maiming, bootlicking, light fisting, arson, impact play, DP, DVP, and stretching. Please read responsibly.
Yeah.
Welcome to this week's horror fun. This is probably our first horror, right? Like
I
our
don't think
first
so.
official horror? No?
I don't know. I would have to dig through everything we've ever done.
I just feel like I don't think we've actually done like a gruesome, like something categorized as a horror before.
I don't know. If anybody
This
knows, let
was a
us know,
wild
because we don't
ride.
fucking know.
I was
Yeah,
expecting a corn maze and some chasing, maybe a mask. We got a little bit more than that.
I hated it. I had a terrible time.
I did not have a terrible time.
I know, I saw your rating.
But I did think about Crystal
There was a couple
a
parts I
few
had to
times.
reread because I got very confused as to how many fingers this man had. I had to go back, reread, and count in with my hands to figure out what the fuck was going on. It was a lot. There was really only one part in particular that I was so glad it was towards the end of this book because I was so close to being like, I literally cannot do this.
So it's not what I expected. I'm not mad about it, but it's not what I was expecting. I mean, it's Santana Knox, so I should have been expecting it, I guess.
I've literally never read a Santana Knox novel in my entire life.
But I think it was kind of a light-hearted horror. Like
Are
everything was
you
done
high?
everything was done in like a humor and like for funsies.
Absolutely not.
Everything had a humor to it and an underlying for fun. Oh, so this is gonna be that kind of episode.
Listen, I've had to sit through your disinterest before. So,
Mm.
yeah, Ariel picked this book and I feel like she picked this book because I do the novellas. I do. Me. I feel like she picked this on purpose, knowing.
I really didn't. You heard the blurb. The blurb is like one sentence. I literally just thought it
I
was a
didn't
maze.
hear the content warnings.
I did not hear the content warnings until I downloaded and started reading either. And honestly, I did not read the content warnings until I just read it for the recording.
Really? Because you texted us about Ohio.
So I went to highlight it, and as I was highlighting it, I saw the word Ohio, and I fucking cackled, and then I scrolled past quick so I wouldn't see anything else.
I also just want to let our listeners know this episode
Is brought to you by Blood and Halloween.
is brought to you by It Almost Didn't Happen.
Brought to you by Ariel's an idiot.
It's brought to you by Ariel forgot to put it on our shared calendar. So I was going through and like, we're missing a book. Then it was also brought to you by Ariel texting me saying, oh, I'm going to edit tomorrow because we don't have to record. And me being like, I thought we were recording. And then Ariel panicking, calling me today saying, I just looked at the time.
I gotta go. Let me put real clothes on again. Hold on. This is not what I wanted.
I'm glad you put real clothes on today because I am going to try to make this a super, super special and try to make it edit with video.
Oh
I'm gonna
boy.
try. I'm gonna try.
Of course, you picked the time that like I haven't eaten all day, so I'm gonna be
It's
sitting here
our
eating.
Halloween episode. It's our final special of the month. Listen, everyone knows we already eat all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
I have more birdie boys in the background today. I
Our
am
presence
about
with
to
one another like reminds each other to eat or something. I don't know.
sometimes though that's helpful and it's nice. I have my protein shake. I ate lunch. After this, I have to go do a fuck ton of laundry so that we can have laundry all done. I am finishing up doing all the dishes. We bought
My
a
laundry
bunch
is
of
done.
stuff. By the time this episode comes out, this will be post hurricane and I should be fine.
Maybe.
I mean, as long as
Rock
the
you
tree,
like a hurricane.
listen, as long as the tree in our front yard doesn't fall on our house, I think we're okay. That's the only thing we're concerned about is that tree
Yeah.
because it's a big boy.
He's a big boy.
And some of the branches overlap our house. So, but anyways, what are you eating?
So
I shouldn't have asked you when you went to go put it in your
when I
mouth.
literally just put it in my mouth, yeah. So we had steak and cheese subs last night because we found the garlic aioli sauce from Olive Garden at Walmart. So I
Ooh,
bought
nice.
multiple bottles because I am a hoarder and I have problems. And
Not
oh,
problems.
and so we made steak and cheese subs last night. And so I had leftovers to bring to work, but bringing a leftover sub doesn't always work so well. So I brought
No,
the
especially since you should reheat it in an air fryer.
yeah. So I brought the insides to work and put it
Mm.
on a salad. So I had all the steak and the cheese and the onions and the peppers and the jalapenos and all that stuff, and I put it on lettuce and tomatoes and stuff. And then for my dressing, I used the garlic aioli.
Ooh, that's yummy.
Yeah, so that's what I had for lunch, and so but I didn't finish it because school life. So I was just sitting here finishing it now, and I added pickles to it,
Speaking of pickles, just kidding.
and I got my protein shake because
Yeah,
life.
so this is a wild way to end out the month of October. Happy Halloween. Before we start, I only had one big gripe with the book, and that was that none of the chapters were labeled as to who they were except for one.
Yeah.
Only one chapter was labeled with who it was, and it was
So
like,
I agree. It was very easy to know who it was right
a
from
couple of them took
the
me a
first.
couple, kind of, sometimes. Some of it was a little bit further in.
Oh, see, the right from the first sentence, I knew who it was. I wish that it was cohesive. I can already
It was
tell.
just weird that only one chapter was labeled.
I
It
think
was very
it's
small.
I can already tell you that the next book, so the sequel, they are labeled properly for everybody.
Cool. So if anyone wants to read it after we discuss this, have at it. I will not be reading it. Anyways,
I'm already
so
like halfway through. It's in a prison, and there's chainsaws and
no.
and
So,
axes.
anyways, but that said, there are a few different POVs in this book, so you're welcome. Camilla overhears this bitch Delaney talking about what is now her ex-boyfriend getting caught apparently finger blasting someone behind the bleachers. So, started out real great, guys. It was bad enough that she was publicly dumped in front of his entire fraternity, but now the news has spread, and there was also a viral video
That
going
he has
around of the
already moved on
yeah, there is a viral video going around of the whole thing that happened with the thing.
with her
She
dumping.
was
Yep.
yes, she was kind of thrilled that she no longer had to go to every sporting event, which I'm sure Ariel would have been thrilled with, but she probably wouldn't have dated this man anyways. But it did not mean that she was excited to hear that her boyfriend of 3 years was already moving on. So they had met during freshman orientation and they kind of grew up together at college. So while she didn't think that they would, she didn't think they would make it out of college because they were really far too different. I mean, it's still not really a great feeling to have that happen to literally anybody.
Yeah.
So her friend Naya is trying to placate her and says, you know what? It's probably not even true about the finger blasting thing, by the way. And they're on their way
I bet
to,
it
absolutely it is, considering what the
all that
video
we know.
is
Yep.
later on. Yeah, absolutely. And they're on the way to botanical sciences. And as they're on their way, a motorcycle comes up and comes to a stop right in front of the building. The man driving this motorcycle still has his helmet covering his face, and he walks past them, and all she can smell is citrus and leather. Her best friend gives her a look of dark suggestion. We all know what she is thinking, but Camilla just shakes her head. and they walk into the building. Naya asked her if she's still going to go to the homecoming corn maze because she knew that she was going to try to get out of any public event, which, duh.
Yeah.
You know, Naya and her had been friends since grade school. They were neighbors who grew up together and they both applied and went to the same college. And now that they were almost done, they wanted to make plans to stay close together. Naya tells her that Kyle Danvers is picking her up for the corn maze. And
Yeah.
Camilla tells her she's not going. Naya says, don't
Can
be
I
a
tell?
pain in the ass. Who's going to make sure I get home safely without any roofies? Camilla just responds, "Bitch, you take the roofies yourself if someone offered." And they just laugh. As they're laughing, Dr. Harkins walks into the lab, who is the teacher, and asks if anything is funny. Now listen, Dr. Dimitri Harkins is so drool-worthy, and Camilla had been studying under him for the last 2 years. And it's not just because of his dark hair that is perfectly on his head. And it's not the muscles either. Those are just perks, you know? She had been obsessed with plants her entire life, and she had learned basic herbology from her grandmother before she turned 10. And by 17, she wrote a book on how to kill someone and get away with it using only plants. Of course, the
This
publishing
should
service
have been
banned
our
it.
first sign.
Reading this back, absolutely.
Because
I
I
was
didn't
shocked.
realize where this was gonna go
Neither did I.
until like we were kind of quite aware.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. The publishing service, though, banned it after a week. Something about its dangerous potential. She doesn't know. Sometimes a girl, just needs to know how to off a man in an untraceable way. She did not see the issue.
I mean, I
She
don't either.
tells I go back and forth, by the way, throughout the whole thing of calling him Dimitri and then Harkins, just because it did that throughout the book too. So if I start doing that, just know that is the same person. I just flip flop between the two of them
His
because
name is
that's how it
Demetri
was when it,
Harkins. Yep.
yeah, that's just how it was throughout the whole book. Sometimes they called him Harkins, sometimes Dimitri. So just
Yeah.
know that I'm not doing it to be an idiot.
And it definitely helps matters that he's only 6 years older than her.
Yeah,
So not only is he hot, but he's young and hot.
yeah.
And it's not like he's an old professor.
Still a professor. I'm so glad you didn't pick this fucking book for our Hot for Teacher month because I would have died. Sorry. Sorry.
Well, all I knew about it was there was a
I
maze
know.
and
It
being
says
chased.
professor
So
in it, so professor student.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
Yeah. She tells Dr. Harkins that nothing was funny and they all head into class. Then the mystery man walks in, staying silent the entire time. He has multiple lip piercings and a tattoo of a rose on his neck. Naya can see Camilla looking at him and asks her if she's found a new toy to ride.
So I was
Oh,
calling her Camila only because her friend called her Mila a lot.
oh, I just called her Camilla.
At first I was too until they started calling her Mila a lot.
Well,
I don't know if it
fine.
matters, but no, I was just I went back and forth and then I was like, well, if she's gonna call her Mila, it makes sense.
I guess so. Dr. Harkins tells Naya to join another lab duo for this semester because the new student is going to sit with Camilla. His name is Zeke or Ezekiel, one of the two, but for purposes, it's Zeke. But that's another one they go back and forth between Zeke and Ezekiel throughout the book, too. And he is a late transfer from West Haven Parochial. His focus is on herbology and plant energy, just like she is. Dr. Harkins wants her to help him catch up. And Camilla just sits there as she watches one of the most attractive men she has ever seen in her life move towards her. Camilla can't believe she's going to go to this stupid corn maze. And she says it out loud, even though Naya's a little shocked. Camilla thinks that this corn maze is a joke of a holiday event because the entire state was a corn maze. And the only good thing about this place was that when winter comes, you can leave your beer outside so it gets cold. Camilla
She's not a
tells
fan
Naya,
of Ohio.
no, Camilla tells Naya that she swears on all that is dark and unholy. If she leaves her for the Danvers kid tonight, she will feel her wrath. But she
Well,
doesn't. So that never happened.
point number
Spoiler.
two that we should have paid attention to in
She never follows
hindsight.
up on that, though.
There is wrath.
As they're waiting in line to get through the gates, Professor Danvers comes up behind her and says, "Didn't think you'd be the type to show up to this kind of event." Camilla tells him that she was forced, and he grins and responds with, "Well, I'm happy to take any students held against their will back to their dorms." Naya
Ooh.
squeals, as she's not looking at him, but she squeals. And Camilla thanks him for the offer, and she'll let him know if she is under duress. After he leaves, Naya looks over to her and says, I told you he was going to wait until graduation to fuck you.
It should be noted that Naya is like a typical like frat boy, frat girl who only cares about partying, doesn't care about school as much. Literally, Camila is holding Naya's college career together. She's doing all her
Yeah,
homework for her. She's doing half her schoolwork online for her. Naya's a
yeah,
hot mess.
yeah. Sometimes. Camila rolls her eyes and just says, let's fucking do this and get out of here. Naya says, this is an event, right? Not a chore to get through. It's supposed to be fun. Camila asks, why would hundreds of people gathering in a small location with very little way to get out in case of emergency sound like fun? Oh, and there's children too.
All valid points. I mean, the kids were probably the best part,
Yeah. And Naya
except they're other
says,
people's children.
yeah. Naya says, now listen, if I can like circle back to Harkin's class because the new guy was so hot and asked if she had seen those lip rings because she really loves piercings, and that almost always means that they're also pierced down below too. Camila says, you're impossible. I ride his face though. And then we have this man, and he has watched her throughout the entirety of class. Surprise, it's Dr. Harkins, but besides the point. She has averted his eyes and pretended to stare somewhere else any time the heat of her gaze caught him. And now, listen, he had been forced into this stupid costume, which is a scarecrow, and he is making his way to the center of the maze, making sure to keep track of which turns he took. It was the only way to find the center, and there was really only one way out from there, which apparently they had paid some super genius 15-year-old who was getting his master's in coding to calculate the hardest possible maze. They charge over $100 a ticket in the name of fundraising, and the first person out of the maze would win $500.
And all
But
the faculty has to work it.
yes, and I mean, there are options throughout the maze that you just give up and then someone will escort you out. He could hear Naya's screams in the distance, knowing it's not going to be long until he can get his first chance to encounter Camila. Camila, I'll just call her Camila. I don't care.
It's your...
One of the two. I'm going to switch between the two. You're welcome. I'm going to switch between everybody's names. Ha 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 ha. Fine.
Welcome to the specials where we're a
Welcome.
hot mess
Welcome to
express.
the end of October. Listen,
This is
up until
Halloween.
this point, I was fine, but I'm gonna get less fine.
This book is going to break you. You were
Yeah,
doing so well this year. We've been
you
giving
know,
you so much, and you've
I'll
been
I'll
handling it
tell
like
you,
a trooper.
I will tell you where my breaking point was.
I think I know where your breaking point was. I can't wait.
It's right in my eyeballs. I stepped on my light.
I think I know where your breaking point was.
Okay. He climbs up onto his post so he can see a large portion of the labyrinth and he prepares for his night. He tries to contribute to the illusion that he's just a prop for the visitor's Halloween experience. So he's basically just going to pretend to be a scarecrow and then scare the fucking shit out of people.
Hmm.
Camila asks her friend why she keeps looking around because she just keeps looking over her shoulder. And then it hits her that she is looking for Kyle. By the way, was there cheering Noah on while cheerleader after cheerleader stood in line to suck his best friend's dick, while she was forced to hold in her tears to pretend like the last 3 years had meant literally nothing, while his fraternity brothers blocked her from leaving the room. The
He
lesson, though, was
dumped her.
apparently not for her.
Yeah,
She was
no,
just
he
collateral
dumped
damage.
her, and then the fraternity lined up girls for him so that they could show him that there's a way, a path to move on, and she had to stand there and watch to see what she was
Yeah,
missing.
yeah.
Like,
She did not like Clio. Clio's not the word.
wow.
She did not like Kyle, but
Gee.
clearly Naya had been waiting for him for so long to ask her out, so she was really going for it. Camila can feel the heat of someone's stare on her, but she could not pinpoint it. She does not like being out in the open exposed. And then Naya asks, hey, isn't that the new guy? Because she sees him. They approach their turn to go into the maze, and Kyle, his friend, and Naya were all let in, but then the ropes were put in place. Apparently, they can only let so many people in, and once a couple more people come out, then Camila can go in. And instead of waiting for her like a good friend, Naya just goes off with Kyle.
So we went on a summer school field trip to an amusement park over
Mhm.
the summer, right? And
Sure.
in my group
Yes, I remember.
was all boys, okay? And even my group of all boys, I taught them that we go as a group. If they don't have enough spots for all of us, we wait off to the side and let other people go ahead of us. We're together as a team. And once, they learned at the beginning, they were great. Like, it's not a hard concept. This girl's
Apparently, it
what,
is for
22
Naya.
years old and she can't handle, geez Louise.
Of course, again, Camila just does not like him. She also thinks that the timing of his interest with her friend and her breakup with his best friend was a little bit weird, but she could not prove it. And she wasn't going to ruin Naya's chance to cross off a name on her bucket fuck list. Does not mean she has to like it. As she is fidgeting, a voice comes up from behind her and asks her if she's always this anxious. Without looking behind her, Camila says, honestly, I'm surprised I haven't found a way to make money from it at this point. Turns out it's Zeke. He tells her that she seems, comfortable in the lab, and she explains it's a safe space for her, and she's not afraid to be herself because there aren't hundreds of people watching her. Zeke says, oh, so you don't like being watched? Camila responds, depends on the context, I guess. And Zeke just says, okay, I'll keep that in mind. And he takes off and heads into the maze and tells her that he will see her in there. Of course, she whines because she thought the maze was full, and the kid just says, for paying visitors. And she's like, well, what the fuck? He's working, whatever. She knows that there is no way in hell that Naya is waiting for her at the entrance. She is most likely already getting railed by Danvers behind a stack of pumpkins. And maybe Naya was right. Maybe she just needed a rebound to cure everything. After what felt like a fucking hour, she finally is able to go in. She calls out for Naya, but she does not get any responses. And it's really odd walking around. And part of her has been really bummed that her new lab partner she has is leaving her alone because kind of a little part of her wanted to be grouped with him in this maze. She
Because
notices a
then at
scare,
least it's a rebound.
right? And she can fuck him in the maze, but anyways. She notices a scarecrow perched atop a cross. She just keeps calling out for Naya, but she's again still getting no responses, and she thinks maybe Naya and Kyle are just lost in another corner. She keeps getting so frustrated knowing that she's been in this fucking goddamn labyrinth for at least an hour and she hadn't found her friend or an exit. And she looked back up at the scarecrow again, and it wasn't like your regular run of the mill one. It had a burlap mask made out of patches, and it was just super gnarly looking. She steps towards it, and then she hears shuffling in the cornfield, and she turns around thinking maybe it's possibly Naya. It was not. And she goes back to the scarecrow, and now it's looking directly at her, which, by the way, would fucking scare the absolute shit out of me. I don't do well. I, first of all, would not go in there by myself. If my friend ditched me, you can bet your sweet ass I'm not going in that maze. Absolutely not.
Absolutely fucking not.
Also, you wouldn't ditch me, so there's
No,
that. But hell, hell no, am I going in this maze by my fucking self? No, thank you. I would be like, okay, well, I'm out $100. I don't know what to tell you.
especially not for some loser.
No, absolutely not. She stumbles back in shock and trips, and the scarecrow drops its arms from the cross and now is in front of her. The scarecrow says, you look pretty, little darkling, all alone in this big empty corn maze. And he's using a voice changer. He says, there's no way out of here. You know that, right? Of course, Camila says that seems like a fire hazard.
I
Fair.
mean,
Yeah. There's got to be at least one way. He tells her, you seem to think you have, any say here, because she's trying to find a fucking way out. She asks, well, what's the alternative? And he grips her shoulders and walks her into the wall of the maze. And he, nudges her legs apart and he gets really close and says, I want to see you scurry through this labyrinth like the rest of them. I want you to beg me to release you. And then she smells the mint of his gum through the mask, and it makes an immediate connection, which is Dr. Harkins. And she responds, what if I just beg you for a release? And she closes her eyes and bites her lips and grinds against his leg. He commands her to ask him to come, and she begs him to let her come, and then he fingers her until she comes. He tells her, "Next time I will have you over my cock, stretching out that pretty little cunt of yours." She then asks for him to give her like a hint, and he just tilts his head towards the passage on the right and then disappears into the wall of corn. So she is still trying to call out for Naya, but she knows that she has abandoned her, which she abandoned her from the very beginning. And then she hears a familiar voice saying, "You look lost." She thinks that it's Harkin, but it's not. The man says, "I saw you moaning with his fingers in your cunt," but every time she turns around to see who this person is, the person's not there. She picks up her pace and she starts to move quickly through the maze. She trips over something on the ground, sending her flying face first. But before she can hit the ground, arms wrap around her waist and put her back up on her feet. The voice asks her if he was not supposed to see. "You did it right in front of me." She asks what he wants. He says, "I want what you gave him." And he calls her out, knowing that it was her teacher that she was doing this with, because uh-oh, spaghettios. He asks her why she's so anxious. Camila says, "You're threatening me." She asks what he wants, and he says, "I want to play with my food before I eat it. Run, Darkling. Run as fast as you can." She hears the scream
You
fill the
can't
air.
catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
Oh my God. Well, that's a lie because he does catch her. I just, holy shit. She hears a scream fill the air and she starts running. Then she gets to a dead end of the maze and the voice says, "Don't be scared, little Darkling." Camila says, "I'm not scared." She's totally lying, by the way. She is scared. He says, "Play my game, little Darkling." She asks again, "What do you want?" And he says, "Run. Run until you make it out." She responds exactly how I would, which is saying, "That sounds exhausting." But Camila asks, "What happens if I get out?" He says, "Then your little secret dies with me. If I catch you, then you're mine to play with for as long as I want." He's going to give her a head start and even points her in the right direction. And he starts counting down. And she realizes she needs to find her way out. But some part of her wondered if she'd like to be caught. Camila finally makes it to a part where she can actually talk on her phone. And she's talking to Naya. And Naya's asking her where the fuck she's been because she's been calling and texting for hours. Camila tells her that she's been stuck in the maze looking for her. And Naya is panicked and says to Kyle, she's still in the maze. Go get the cops. Apparently, some kid went psycho in the maze and started killing people. And right now, the carnival is filled with cops. And they said they emptied the maze, but they're afraid of sending too many cops inside because it's hard to get out. It looks like all of the people who knew how to get out got killed. And all of a sudden, Camila's arms turn into lead and she drops the phone from her hand and thinks, "How am I getting out of here?" She, you good? Are you done? Why are you the scream face?
No,
Know that painting?
it was my shocked face.
You look
Oh
you were looking like that painting, the scream painting.
no.
She's behaving like this knowing full well that I'm editing this video.
Oh my fucking Jesus, no.
But she also probably forgot because she's forgotten things I told her 5 seconds
I
ago.
can't remember anything today.
This today?
I
Today.
don't, yeah, whatever.
Oh, good Lord. But she is slowed down knowing that she's finally put some distance between her and the guy. But she realizes she is definitely going in circles. She finds herself in a familiar spot with a scarecrow above her on the cross. She's not sure if this one is a prop, and when she turns her head and looks behind her, she kind of like starts to run forward and she stops abruptly because she runs into a person. She turns around and faces the scarecrow, and then she turns back and there's a scarecrow in front of her. She turns back, and where the other scarecrow was is now empty. Dr. Harkins has been looking for her. He tells her that he needs to get her out of there and that they need to go. She hears another scream in the distance and then silence again. Her eyes don't waver from his, and his forehead presses into her, and they kiss. He slides his hand down her side, asks her if she feels that, and his cock is very hard. And it's been like that since he got to taste her cum off of his glove earlier after he, finger fucked her in the maze. She tells him, I want to feel you. And then she takes his cock out of his pants. And by the way, his dick is absolutely huge. She calls it a beer can, by the way, just so you know. She
Pretty
ends
sure it
up
was a soda can.
soda can, beer can, same fucking difference.
One has alcohol in it.
I just need to let you sit with that for a second because I was not describing the contents of the cans.
One is what she said and one is what she did not say.
I'm gonna kick you out.
You haven't
And a
threatened to do
voice,
that to me in a long time.
I know, it's very strange. This book did some things to me. She ends up blowing him, and a voice comes from behind saying, looks like the wrong scarecrow caught you. Hmm. Dimitri's body tenses and asks, who is that? The scarecrow says, put your mask back on, Professor. Don't want anyone to see you here with a student. We're going to play a little game now. I know what you've been doing in this maze, Camila. Camila says, I don't know what you mean. I played your game. What more do you want? The scarecrow responds, we haven't finished the game. I just caught you. Now you're mine. You both are. Our little darkling is lost in this big maze. Let's show her how well the corn keeps the screams from escaping. Which it doesn't because you've been hearing the screams this entire time, but that's besides the point. Obviously, by the way, it's Zeke, who is the other scarecrow. He just tells Harkins to touch her. She claims it's too dark to see who's touching her, and then she feels a warm breath on her pussy, and it's a tongue and the cold metal of two steel balls, and he eats her out. And when she finally looks down she sees Zeke's face, and the realization of his identity sets in, which bothered me because she knew he had tongue piercing, so I think she was just in denial.
No, she wasn't sure which, she said it was so dark, she wasn't sure where the men were, who was in front of her. And
Right. But I'm saying he was eating her out and she felt the cold metal of
right.
his tongue ring eating her out.
And
It is
then, right,
obvious who it
it
is.
was. And then it was like seeing his face was just yep, my last hope dashed that it wasn't the professor who she actually wanted it to be.
I was just like, bitch,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. She's a
I had
little
to reread that a
Delulu.
couple you
She's a
think?
little Delulu.
Yeah.
It's
She
okay.
almost knew it hadn't been Dimitri, but what did Zeke have to gain from all of this? He tells her, we are not done. Harkin whispers into Camila's ear, there's a killer in the maze. Camila is thinking, did Harkins think that Ezekiel's goal was to blackmail them into fucking him and that they were possibly the next victims? Zeke tells Dimitri to put his fingers in her ass because he wants her ready to fuck them both. So that happens, and then cleans her up. Zeke cleans up her orgasm from between her legs. Then she starts begging. Zeke says, greedy little darkling, tell the professor how badly you want us to fill you up. Harkins is still behind her, teasing the entrance to her ass, and she says, I do. I want you both. Zeke enters her and tells Harkin to fuck her ass. Of course, he's saying he can't. I won't fit. And Camila is just begging. Harkins again just says no. And Zeke says, you seem to think I'm asking. I'm not. Fuck her in the ass if you want to leave this maze with your career intact. Which you probably shouldn't be threatening, but okay. Harkin says, I'm not hurting her, so you can get your rocks off over it. If you want my cock involved so bad, have at it yourself. And he pulls himself out. Zeke, little shocked at the sight, and says, wow, you're a big boy, aren't you?
They
And then
laid it
Zeke,
on a little too thick that they were trying to pin
it on
Zeke
Zeke.
as the killer in that
Yeah.
moment. And
Yeah.
that was literally the laying it on too thick was what made me realize that he wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Zeke starts to blow him. And as it's happening, Camila is just starts touching herself. Harkins warns Zeke that he's about to come, and then he just shoves Zeke's face further onto his cock. And it gets to the point that as he's coming, Zeke is gagging and vomit starts coming up because, duh, because he's just so uncomfortable. But Harkins does not care. Meanwhile, Camila is still touching herself as she comes as well after everyone is done. Zeke stands up and calls Dimitri an asshole. And then he asks if the professor knows that she has been out here cutting frat boys from throat to dick. Dimitri
Surprise!
Dimitri's little smirk softens a little and just says, who do you think has been hiding the bodies out there in the corn? He
Double
says, I saw
surprise!
mm-hmm. He says, I saw the videos. I saw what Noah's friends did to you. If it had been me, I would have done far worse to them. And then he tells Zeke to lick her boots. And then he does. And then afterwards, Camila kicks him right in the face into a pile of hay. Zeke just tells them that they're all fucking nuts and everybody in this town is nuts. He sees Camila pull a knife from the inside of her boot, and Harkins zips up his pants. And all Zeke could think about was that the minute he saw Camila in line, he thought some strings of fate were being pulled in their direction, and that he'd get a chance to make a move on a girl who was almost too beautiful to be real. But then she killed some kid in a football jersey, and then another, and then he realized that fucking with this girl might have been the worst idea he ever had in his life.
Oh,
Harkin,
she's sweet but a psycho, a little bit psycho.
she's not even really sweet. That's the thing. She's quiet. Harkins asks if Camila is done with him, and she says no. He had his fun. I think we should have ours now. Camila squats down in front of him and licks the tip of her knife, says he likes the chase. Maybe we should let him see what it's like to be prey. He calls her a fucking psycho, which probably not the best time to call someone this, by the way. And she ends up stabbing her knife through his foot and pins it to the ground. Camila tells him that she'll give him
This
a
is
head
when
start.
things took an interesting turn.
She tells him that she'll give him a head start and they start counting. He does know the way out, so he feels like he's got that one thing going for him, and he hobbles past them, trying to take large but fast steps. As soon as he got far enough a distance away from Camila counting, because he can hear her voice getting quieter, he starts to crawl, and he thinks to himself that he can get out of this place. This place is also littered with cops, and all he had to do was just make it out of the maze, and he just repeats that. Camila is still counting, and Harkins is also still counting, and he begs for them to just let him go. And then he feels a slash through the back of his ankles and knows that his Achilles have been cut. And they're all still counting, by the way. Harkins yanks him by the hair, and Camila says, I think we hurt him too much. And that she
Oh.
has an idea. What if we just let him go and he doesn't tell anybody? What does he think about that? And he just nods. Camila says, fine, go then. The minute Harkin's hand softens on his head, he starts to crawl through the hay, and he is in a lot of pain, but he is determined to get out of there because this crazy bitch was gonna actually let him go. Please. He starts crying, and when he takes his next left out of the maze, he just finds Camila there, and his heart just instantly sinks into his stomach, and he knows this is it. Of
Da,
course,
da, da.
Camila thinks this is just, he is so pathetic. He is now blubbering, he's disgusting, he is weak, and he is nothing to her, only someone who is a risk to her future and Harkin's career. You know, she would have fucked him had he just asked her, but now she's going to take everything from him. Somewhere in the maze, her rage just continuously grew and she just could not handle it anymore. Noah was the first one to go. She found him separated from the group of friends, getting a blowjob from Delaney, which is the bitch girl from the beginning. And it was easy to slit her throat after she pulled Delaney off of his cock. She stabbed him through the balls and sliced them open. Kyle Danvers needed to spend the rest of his life giving whatever thanks to God because she would have loved to see what he looked like at the end of her knife. But lucky for him, he had stuck by her best friend. She said, oh, Zeke, can you feel how wet I still am every time you scream? I just want to fuck it out of you. She asks Harkins if he thinks that Zeke will come before he dies, and they say that they're going to test it out. So she fucks him while Harkins fucks her with his fingers as well. She asks if Zeke wants to come before he dies, and then she drags the knife down his chest, slicing far enough for a line of blood to flow behind the blade, and then says, oops, too deep when she stabs him below the diaphragm.
Oops.
And Harkins fills her ass with 3 fingers. So Zeke is slowly dying, but he is also still hard.
Slowly dying.
Yeah. And to her, it was just so fucking addicting. She begs Harkins to fuck her, and he fucks her with his hands. Finally, she takes the knife in the air and stabs it directly into Zeke, and they both tremble as she comes. And he took his final breaths. Then she reaches into his stomach, where she cut, and then this is where I noped out.
Yep. This is where I knew.
I'm so sorry, guys. So she reaches into his stomach, then coats Dr. Harkins' cock with his blood, and then Harkins
with Zeke's blood
Oh, sorry. Yeah, with Zeke's blood. Yes, she reaches into Zeke's stomach, takes the blood, coats.
and guts.
Uh-huh. Yep. I was just skipping over that, but thank you. And then Harkins fucks her. And as they're done, Harkins says, "You aren't done yet because Zeke is still
They
hard."
use Zeke's
They
blood
use his
as
blood as
lube,
lubricant. I'm well aware that
so
is exactly
he
what is
can
happening right
fuck
now.
her.
That's what I was saying. But I'm glad you decided to go more into detail as I'm trying to get through this because this was awful.
And she enjoys it thoroughly with his
Yeah,
soda
because
can dick.
Harkins tells her you're not done
It's
yet
just not
because Zeke
enough,
is
though.
yeah, because Zeke
She
is still
wants more.
hard. Zeke is
She
dead.
wants more.
So he strokes
So
his hands up and down beneath Camila and then
the professor
slathers
gets an
blood.
idea.
He slathers the blood on Ezekiel's cock and then puts her ass on Ezekiel's dick. So now
While it's
he is
still on his.
and then Harkins starts to fuck her and tells her to say,
So
"You're mine."
he double stuffs her with a dead man's dick up her ass. They use
Yep.
him as a dildo, basically, with blood as lube.
I would really love you to stop talking. Then Harkins starts to fuck
Come
her
on,
and
you
tells
have
her,
to give points for creativity.
"Say you're mine. You're my dirty little whore using a dead man's cock to make you come." And then they fuck, but then they realize all good things must come to an end, and they have to go back to reality. She sees Harkins taking out a lighter and starts to set Ezekiel's body on fire and asks what he's doing. And he just says, "I'm fixing this." And he tells her that they need to get out of there now, and he grabs her by the hand. But then she realizes how clean the maze is and how he had been pulling bodies out of sight deep into the corn for her to protect her. He tells her that she is perfect, and they make their way out of the maze, and he goes up to people and says, "I've got her, I've got her." And the cops start rushing to them. Her heart sinks, thinking that he's going to turn her in, and she starts to vomit. But he is not turning her in. And he just says that she's,
Meanwhile, you have to remember she's covered head to toe in blood. So it's a reasonable explanation for her to think that I've got her to the cops, and she's covered in blood.
yeah, yeah. A voice asks if whoever it was had hurt her because she's covered in blood. And Harkins says, "I don't think so. I found them just in time. She was fighting back, and together we were able to stop him." Camila says that she wants to go home and does not want to be touched by anybody. And Naya comes out yelling, "That's my best friend. I thought you were dead. You stopped answering the
The
phone." They
EMTs
wouldn't
want to check her out. I don't want to be touched.
they wouldn't let me go back in there. But she is never going to tell her what happened. That secret belonged to her and Harkins only. Then we just hear, "Oh shit, the corn maze is on fire, and call for the fire truck now." A female cop says, "I don't know, boss. Sounds like a good way to clean this shit up. Keep the town from panicking over a dead serial killer." And Camila bites back a smile.
Only Ohio.
Then we get the hose love and epilogue. And Harkins is asking Camila if she's really sure she needs all three of these plants. As soon as Camila had graduated, she had to move out of the dorms, and thanks to Dimitri, she was going to be moving into faculty housing. Lucky for them, there were no rules about faculty dating, so when he had gotten her the job in the botany department and they applied for the same house on campus, no one batted an eye. And they had kept their relationship secret until she finishes her degree. She worked her ass off to make sure she met her early graduation deadline at the end of the fall semester, so they only had a few weeks of hiding. A month or so of him sneaking into her dorm at night, but the weeks did eventually pass, and despite Naya nearly dying from holding on to the secret, they made it through. And she was no longer a student. She was now an employee at the university. She fell in love every day with Dimitri, and she asks, what if Noah had never broken up with her? Dimitri just looks at her and says, "Noah was an idiot for leaving you, but it was the smartest thing he ever did." Then his hands go down her bare thighs with a slap. Then they kiss and he fingers her and then he fucks her. After they're done, he tells her that he loves her. She says, "I love you." And then she just thinks to herself, "I guess Ohio would do as long as I got to do it with him." And there you go. Who was your least favorite character? Or favorite, it doesn't matter.
My least favorite character, probably Kyle, because he was the only survivor of the fraternity. But I'm already reading the second book, and
You can't use the second book to change your opinions.
no, no, no. I'm just saying, for those who are interested, they want to amend that in the second book. I haven't read enough to know if they are successful, but they want to. Just saying.
I didn't like Naya. She's a terrible friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who just leaves you before you go into a card maze and just like pieces the fuck out?
Yeah. She just cared about the dick.
Yeah.
And
Who was your
especially a friend who literally is the one coasting you through college.
Yep. Who was your favorite?
Camila.
Plants.
The hay, you mean?
No, her plants.
I know. I was
Her
just...
thousands of plants.
That's not a person.
It is, she talks to them as if they're people. They're people. Okay. So Amazon gives us a 4.0. Goodreads gives us a 3.6.
What did you rate this book?
2.5.
Is that because of the blood play?
Because of the blood play, I didn't like rereading certain things because I got confused as to like how different things were working. So I was like trying to figure out. I told you I didn't know how many fucking fingers this man had. I was
See,
like,
I didn't
oh,
have any of that confusion. I
I
felt like
did.
things flowed fine. I was
Mm,
a little nitpicky about a couple things like the names and the chapters and stuff, but
hmm
I rated this a 4.5. I had a fabulous time.
I'm so glad you did. I did not.
It was a little Halloween novella. I thought it was humorous and fun, and it made light
I
of
don't know
a
where the humor you found, but I found no
it
humor.
made light of a little erotic horror.
It's
Cucumbers.
probably like a 5. There was a good amount in there, and it's not just because I don't like the blood thing. Obviously, we all know how I feel about blood.
I thought that was
But there
really
wasn't a
unsanitary, honestly.
dude, right? You don't know what diseases this man
You
has?
should not be using someone else's blood as lube, just saying.
No, and like to be fair, there wasn't that many. I know it's a novella, but like it wasn't many scenes either. So I don't know.
I'm going to go with a 4.
Yeah.
Survivability.
I wouldn't have gone to this goddamn maze in the first place.
I would not have either. Peopling.
And then of course, like if I decided to go and my friend decided to ditch me, I'd fucking
I
leave
would
as
have
well.
leave.
I would
Yeah,
not have.
I would have left.
You
Yeah.
would have leave. You
I
would have
would
leave.
I would have left. I would have left. Yeah. So I mean, I would have survived just fine.
Same.
Yeah. So yeah,
Well,
that was our last October special.
yeah.
Hope I thought it was a fun one.
She had
Accidentally.
a great time.
I
She had a
did.
great time.
I did.
And I think it was more too that she had a great time because I had to do this. And yeah,
I just got to read it, visit, sit back and enjoy it.
please don't use blood as lube
And that was our PSA for the day.
for the month.
So
As we round out the end of October,
yes.
that is it.
So make sure to keep reading.
And keep it smutty.
Finding it is futile and inviting it is brutal. Need a warning sign like slippery when wet. Yeah, it's fine, like it's whatever. I guess I'm glad you're not dead. I guess I'm glad that you're not dead. Glad you're not dead. I guess you're right to me.